What up, fellas? It's time. Welcome back to the channel where we discuss all things prostate and prostate cancer related. If you're new here, welcome to you. If you've been here for a while, watched the video, maybe even liked and subscribed, I appreciate you. And welcome back. Today I want to tell you a little about something that happened to me recently. With September being Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, there was this prostate cancer roundtable or open discussion that they were having, and it was the first annual, so I decided to go. For a number of reasons. One is to get a butt in the seat to make sure that they saw the numbers that they needed to keep this going. Secondarily, since it was a roundtable or a panel discussion, I wanted to see whether or not there had been any advances that had already occurred in treatment options, or to see if there were any that were anticipated, kind of closer, coming down the road very soon. And lastly, with this being an open discussion, they were going to allow for Q&A from the audience. And I wanted to get an idea of how others were going through their prostate cancer journeys and just get an idea of the questions that they were asking. And so during this whole discussion, this gentleman stood up and he said something on the mic that wasn't so much a question as it was a statement. And it gave me an epiphany of sorts. And it resonated with me so much that I wanted to share with you just kind of how I had thought about it and how I'd unknowingly been doing this the whole time. And you may be too, just hadn't really thought about it. He stood up and he said he was fully invested in becoming a better version of himself than he was before he got diagnosed. And that immediately resonated with me. I was like, better version. Wow, I was thinking about that. First thing I thought about was like the Terminator 2.0, how it's so much better than the regular Terminator. And I was like, yay. Now again, I was associated with something so I could figure it out. So the Terminator thing, that's the immediate thought that I had, so that I remember what he said. But in going forward with what he said, I was thinking to myself, had I become a better version of myself than I was prior to my diagnosis and subsequent treatment? It reminded me of the fact that when I first got diagnosed and I first started making these videos, one of my first videos that I don't remember, I doubt that I posted it, had to do with the shot clock. And the shot clock in basketball is, you have a certain amount of time to shoot it if you're not a basketball player. And if you shoot the ball and it hits the rim and you get the rebound, then your shot clock is reset. So every chance I got while I was talking to someone about prostate cancer, I was sharing with them that my shot clock had been reset. Meaning that I now had the time that it was going to run down until I had to shoot the ball again. What was I going to do with that? And that is what I'm posing to all of you. See, the thing is that I immediately made some changes once I got diagnosed and my treatment was over. I sat at home and I was like, you know what? This could have went the other way. Like, I just had to acknowledge that this could have went the other way. Like, no matter what the outcomes are, it could have went the other way. And I had to acknowledge that to myself. So the first thing I came up with was I was no longer going to sweat the small stuff. Anything that was stress related had to go. Anything that caused me immediate stress or anything that was close to that had to be minimized or fully eliminated. I didn't have time for that. The thing is that there were so many things that I wanted to do now that I understand how fragile life was. We tend to think that we understand that, but when we're facing it, for me, it became totally different. I didn't have time for petty arguments, disagreements, or to hold grudges or any of the sort. I just was removing myself from that so that I could make sure that I was making the most of my shot clock being reset. The second thing that I did was that I had to change my diet. I put a video up, and there's a number of you have asked me about my diet, but if I added that pomegranate juice, 100% pomegranate juice. I added in as many fruits and as vegetables as I possibly could. I mean, I added in blueberries, strawberries, and grapes. And I bought, when I say I only drank water, when I had my prostate cancer surgery, I drank water. But as soon as I started coming out of that, it was fruit smoothies. I had the blender, the single serve blender, ice, pineapple juice, and fruit. And I'd buy the frozen fruit. I'd buy the frozen bag and I'd wash it off because they always have recalls. I'd put it in there and I'd blend it up. And sometimes I would put hemp seed oil in there, and sometimes I would put black seed oil in there. But I would make sure that I drank one of those in the morning, one of those at night. Why? Because I was fully vested in making sure that I changed my diet. Now, there are other dietary things that I've changed, but those I want to talk about in this video, because those are things that you can add. You can add those fruit to give the ability of those fruit, and you can add them in. Sometimes I would have fresh versions of some of that fruit, and I would add that in. It would change the consistency and things, but just letting you know, fruit smoothies. And why? Because that spare tire had to go. My walking around weight prior to my prostate cancer diagnosis was 280 pounds. And it was 280 in the middle going up. Now, I was thick. Football player, and I was really, really a thick dude. But that midsection wasn't close to how my midsection should have looked. And so, after I had prostate cancer surgery, I lost 40 pounds. I got down to 248 pounds. And I can't tell you I liked it very much. 280 people moved out of the way, 240, you gotta say, excuse me. At least that's how I felt. And so, I was like, I am 100% committed to that. Now, commitment is permanent. So I was committed to making sure that I didn't get all that weight back, because I understood that spare tire and those things contribute some to me getting prostate cancer in the first place. So I took that on and said, I'm not going to keep this here when it caused me the problem the last time. So I got in the gym. I put 10 pounds back on. And I've left the 30 pounds off for 2 years now. And I'm saying to you, it's time. When I talk about the better version of you, immediately most of you thought, oh, well, I'm talking about, relationships and things. No, I'm just talking about any way that you can make yourself a better version than you were prior. It's a work in progress, gentlemen. You don't have to get all of it at one time. I mean, in order to get that weight down and to put that 10 pounds back on appropriately, I started hitting the gym 3 to 4 times a week. Making sure that I had rest days in there, but I hit the gym 3 to 4 times a week. And I still hit the gym 3 to 4 times a week. I make sure that I am going in there and I am building my body and moving around the blood and getting myself to a place where I feel healthy. And I'm saying that to you all, that you can do that. You can go to the gym, get yourself up, and get to moving. You got to wear a pad, wear a pad. If you don't feel like it, that's the best time to go. Get up. Get moving. I am saying to you that the last part of this whole thing is you have to learn your limitations, gentlemen. You have to learn your limitations. My nephew, He's my nephew. It's my cousin, but I call him my nephew. And the thing is that he challenged me to go in the gym, right? He was like, man, I can outlift you. And I started laughing because I was like, there's no way that you and I are leaving the gym and you won. And he was looking at me. I said, you just don't understand what I mean. And then it occurred to me that the next day he would get up with that L now, but he would get up and go about his business. And because I was trying to outlift somebody that was in the late 20s, early 30s, I was going to be in a bed having won for days and days and days. Nope. That was dumb. I wasn't finna do that. So, I didn't accept the challenge. Not because I couldn't win the challenge, but because my limitations now tell me that all of the energy and stuff that I have is not infinite. And because it's not infinite, I need to use it wisely. And that just wasn't one of the things I wanted to use it on. I am saying to you all, it is time for you to change your mindset, to change your diet, to change your thoughts about your limitations. One of the biggest things that we are always the last ones to get an idea that things have changed. Because our mind still tells us that we can do when we cannot do. Or we cannot do as well. Or we now do it differently. So we are assuming we still do it this way, and we do it, and it might be well, but it is definitely different than you used to. And that is part of this journey. And the last thing I tell you is, if you have not dropped any weight, do so. My doctor and I were joking about the statement that I made a little while ago about me being the big dude in the room. And I told him, I was like, I really feel light. And with comedic timing, he looks over at me and he says, you know what you've never seen? And I said, what? And he said, an old big dude. And that was the moment that I committed to making sure that all of this weight stayed off. I'm not going to be here forever. But my shot clock was reset. And I do have the ability to make those changes. And I have, and I will continue to do so. And I will challenge you all. Start with just one change for your betterment. And make it a commitment so that it's permanent. Then keep going forward. I hope this finds you well. Peace and blessings, fellas.